All right, welcome to the channel. Today, I'd like to discuss, can Section 8 approve an extra bedroom for you? And thankfully, this is one of the easier things to address in terms of videos and information. I'm going to cover policy and procedure along with administrative plans regarding how you can do so to get an extra bedroom if you utilize Section 8 or federal housing programs. But before I do that, we're going to switch screens real quick and we'll go over a little bit of company information, if you don't mind. So, my name is Jay. I'm the owner of Section8Consulting.com. I worked at the federal level for around 26 years. I've consulted roughly 20,000 or more people. And if you're struggling with this topic, trying to get an extra bedroom, or you have other issues where you're trying to battle this out with your landlord or your public housing authority will not approve it, then you might want to reach out to my office. We do offer appointments. They are not free, but they're very affordable compared to most of the market. Okay. So with that being said, I'm going to bring in some notes, guys, and that's to help you guys out, especially those with learning disabilities. And some of you may find that I talk very quickly, but that's to keep the video very short. So I'm going to move my face off here to the side. Big old head I've got. All right. So yes, public housing agencies can approve an additional bedroom under the Housing Choice Voucher program, but approval is not automatic. Of course, the reason must comply with the PHA's subsidy standards and qualify as a disabled related reasonable combination. Now, many of you may not understand reasonable accommodations, and many more try to file these using Google or AI. That is not suggested as they're not. Google and AI is not well trained in that fact, and a lot of reasonable accommodations get denied just on the basis of how you guys are making those accommodation letters regarding the extra bedroom. I strongly urge you to reach out to my office or any other professional to help you with that part, because it'll have a much higher approval rate. Moving on from there, situations where an extra bedroom may be approved. Number one, the approval of a live-in aide. A person with a disability may request approval for a live-in aide who resides in the home and provides necessary supportive care. Federal regulations require that approved live-in aide be counted when determining the voucher bedroom size. Generally, HUD permits only one additional bedroom for the live-in aide, and the extra bedrooms are normally not provided for the aide's spouse, children, or other family members. Now, occasionally, intermittent or rotating or overnight caregivers who do not actually reside at the home generally do not qualify as live-in aides. However, a disability-related overnight care may support separate reasonable accommodation requests depending on circumstances under Title 24 CFR Part 892, and that you can find also in the description. And just so you guys know, again, I'm going to put the notes for this video in the description as well as the comments section. Number two, in the secondary causes, medical equipment. A PHA may approve an extra bedroom when it's necessary to store substantial disability-related equipment. Examples may include dialysis, respiratory equipment, hospital bed, patient lifting equipment, large mobility, rehabilitation equipment, medical supplies requiring a dedicated sanitary space, and equipment that cannot be reasonably stored or used elsewhere in a unit. It's also important to understand that certain states have different ideas about what rooms are livable and which are not. For instance, in many parts of California, while you're trying to seek approval for an additional room, you do know that in many places in that state, they consider the living room an additional living space. So the subject can be rather contentious at times dealing with PHAs to get approval for a bedroom to only discover they want you to hang a sheet in your living room. Okay, so if you have that problem, reach out to my office. HUD says that the need should be documented by a healthcare provider, generally a doctor, physician, psychiatrist. The PHA may inspect the room to verify that it is actually being used for the approved medical purpose. If it is not, the PHA may produce the voucher size at the next annual recertification. And I'm going to point you to HUD's Housing Search and Leasing Guide for June 2025. That'll be a useful link for you guys to help you learn a little bit more about this. Also, a general statement to the tenant has a disability or owns medical supplies may not be enough. Documentation should explain why a separate room is necessary instead of a mere convenience. And so sometimes you have to prove not only nexus, but you've got to prove the actual cause and reasoning how it might improve your life. That's why, trying to do accommodation requests for extra bedrooms can be a complicated matter and sometimes often not approved the first time. So number three cause would be a disability related overnight care. In addition, an additional bedroom may be approved when a household member needs disability related overnight care and when the arrangement does not fit the PHA's ordinary live-in aid policy. Sometimes you can exploit those policies, and that require you first get a FOIA, or Freedom of Information Act, and request the administrative plan, specifically identifying extra bedrooms and accommodations. Regarding that, you might be able to engineer a little bit better in your letter. HUD directs PHAs to consider exceptions under subsidy standards individually when necessary, given the person's disability and equal opportunity to use and enjoy the home, meaning quality of life. So from there, I would take a look at HUD's notice PIH 2014-25, and that will also be in the description and comments section. Moving on, number 4, disability-related need for separate sleeping space. In some circumstances, a household member's disability may make sharing a bedroom medically inappropriate. Potential examples may include a medical condition requiring uninterrupted or specialized sleep, disability-related behavior creating safety risk while sharing, uh, treatment or medical procedures requiring privacy, sensory or psychiatric or neurological conditions that are aggravated by room sharing, and a need for a hospital bed or medical equipment within the sleeping room. These are all very contentious. You've got to do a lot of work to be able to prove these things. That's why I tell you guys, writing a goodwill letter as a accommodation letter isn't usually sufficient to meet medical review for the PHA. And in most cases, you're really going to need to speak with a professional. Approval depends on the evidence showing a direct relationship or nexus between the disability and the need for separate bedroom, a personal preference, family disagreements, or ordinarily snoring, or the desire for more privacy ordinarily will not be sufficient. Also, I have many people contact my office and think they can simply request an extra bedroom so they can run their crap duck business. It's not going to work out that way. They don't care about your storage needs. You run a company, anything else. There's no safe space or whatever. You've got to have a good medical reason. Moving on there, number 5, ordinary household composition. Larger vouchers may result in the PHA's regulatory compliance standards. These standards often consider number of household members, age, and relationship of children, whether the household members or spouses and partners. And I want to retract age and relationship with children, okay? Gender and age can heavily influence the outcome of the number of bedrooms. So if you've got young children, you've got some potential there. Foster children, approved household members, and local bedroom assignment policies. So there's a lot to be considered in terms of federal language that would permit this if you can prove your case. HUD requires the PHA to establish own written subsidy standards. So again, we talk about written subsidy standards, and those standards are again in their administrative plan. Therefore, two housing authorities can assign different bedroom sizes similar to similar families while both remain compliant with federal rules. What you have in one housing authority is not necessarily going to transfer to another. So when you move or you port out or you do portabilities and move under this, you may find that the perks, bells, and whistles you have in one housing authority may not necessarily transfer, and then you may end up again in a contentious situation where you may need to talk with a professional to be able to kind of push through or reacquire whatever accommodations that you had, especially when it comes to extra bedrooms. HUD requires a PHA to establish its own written subsidy standards. Therefore, I think we've already mentioned that, but what the healthcare provider should document is also important in this circumstance. The provider ordinarily does not need to disclose a person's entire medical history or detailed diagnosis. The verification should explain the following: that the household member has a qualifying disability, that the functional limitation created by the disability is an issue, while why an additional bedroom or separate sleeping space is necessary, how the extra room will address the disability related limitation, whether the need is permitted or how long it is expected to continue, for medical equipment and what type of equipment requires a dedicated space, and overnight care, the frequency or nature of that being required for care. And so these are kind of a way to structure letters and depending on the situation that you have. So moving from there, the strongest documentation focuses on a medical necessity and functional limitations, not simply a recommendation that a larger home or room would be beneficial. So I would suggest, following some of this additional advice I'm going to get down here, here's how you can submit a request, and then I'm going to put that in the bottom of the video because I want to talk to you guys for just a few minutes. We're at about 9 minutes, so I'm going to wrap it up from here. Um, I would say give it your greatest best effort, but if you get in denial on your first trial, I would seriously consider reaching out. Look, even when my office uses integrated AI to help with cases, we have to program probably one, sometimes up to 10 pages of instruction to get a clear and accurate representation of accommodations. Okay. When AI does not have the same thing as Google is experience, it pulls off old things that are highly irrelevant or even outdated procedural rules under Title 24. So I'm not dissuading anybody from handling their own case, but considering that you only get so many tries of this, it's usually a better situation to consult at least minimally with a consultant that's seen hundreds of these be approved. Okay, I don't guarantee approval, but I certainly know that our approval rate's a lot higher than the average person that knows little about federal law. That being said, I've enjoyed talking with you guys. We hope to see you this afternoon. And again, we make live videos on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, and those are a great opportunity to ask questions. And they're at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Almost all the rest of the week, we do double videos on EDU, which is educational, and they're pre-recorded. So you can't really ask questions there, but they're a great way to kind of navigate all the way through all the different issues within Section 8 housing policy, procedure, and federal rules. So thank you for joining the channel, and we hope to see you again. Bye for now.